skip, and then I talk about individual coins, like why Litecoin can't compete with Bitcoin, how Ripple, the price of the chart of Ripple is exactly like the chart of diamonds, and some of the other insanity that we have seen. Skip that, talk about privacy and why Monero will not be able to compete with Bitcoin. Oh, that slide's actually interesting. This is how all of these altcoins basically start. Hey, I just came up with an interesting piece of encryption, and can that be backwards compatible with Bitcoin? And when the answer is no, you have a shitcoin, and if you don't, you will have a future shitcoin. And skipping the rest, Zcash and how it's running out of money for its developer fund, how Dash was just a scam from the start, and how Steemit is totally useless, and how ridiculous their white paper was. SEC versus ICOs. Liquid sidechain is going to actually help. Oh wait, that's a cool slide too. The insanity of Ripple and my never-ending fight with the Ripple army of the brain dead. And have episodes on that. We're going to skip all the Ethereum stuff because that's just an unscalable mess. And we're going to move on to my brand new slides, which I put together yesterday when I learned that both Roger Ver and Craig Wright were going to be here. And this is basically, this was not part of my original slide because I felt that Bitcoin forks were not even relevant to the discussion because they are a lot, for me, they are more similar to OneCoin and BitConnect. But we are going to talk about this current dumpster fire and how close they are to straight up Ponzi's. So here we go. I already know what Bitcoin Hex is. That's really in between a straight up Ponzi scheme and the Bitcoin fork. So let's go straight into the Bitcoin forks. The original Bitcoin fork took place on August 1st of 2 years ago, and I believe on its second birthday, I pointed out that holding your money in the Ukrainian currency would have given you a better store of value than buying into Bcash from day one. It all started so well. They had a great team. Roger, McAfee, Jian Wu, who's now been fired over that mess. And of course, we have our breakups. This is Roger and Fake Satoshi and Calvin Ayre all working together until here come the fork wars. I did an 8-hour live stream straight covering the breakup of Bcash into what do you call it? BCH ABC and BCH BSV, all of the usual characters. And here come the lawsuits. This is Craig Wright suing anyone that happens to call him a fraud. This is the one against Peter McCormick. So that's taking place right here in the UK. This is the court case by Kleiman against Craig Wright. And this one had very interesting outcomes where it says right here, there is a clear and convincing evidence that Dr. Wright's non-compliance with the court's order is willful and is in bad faith, knowingly producing fraudulent trust documents and giving perjurious testimony at the evidentiary hearings. This is right from the court case over in Florida. What else did we learn from that? This is facts. This is evidence. Craig submitted this fraudulent email to the court. It was perpetually sent in 2012, but the signature shows it was actually faked in early 2014. Again, some facts from the case. Here's another document. This email was blown apart ages ago, but the BSV fans still seem to think that it is legit. This is more proof that there were fraudulent emails. In addition, there's clearly proof that the blog posts that talk about him creating a cryptocurrency in 2008 were altered in 2015. Mr. Wright appears to have edited his blog dated 2008 in 2015 to make it look like he was writing a cryptocurrency white paper at the time, while a 2014 snapshot of the blog does not include that cryptocurrency comment. Here is evidence that was exposed of the faking of David Kleiman's signature, as came out as part of that case as well. You can see Dave Kleiman's actual signature right there, and this was in the documents, and then someone just started looking around the web, and it's like, oh, it's the auto font that creates that exact signature. And finally, this brings us to the comparison and of these Bitcoin forks. I don't even like to call them by any names. I kind of like calling them fake Bitcoin 1, fake Bitcoin 2. But we really shouldn't even have to talk about fake Bitcoin 1 and fake Bitcoin 2 because this is basically the path of all of the Bitcoin forks. And there's certainly more than 2 fake Bitcoins. This is another chart, but in reality, you don't have to really follow that. BSV isn't even on here. I guess it wasn't even important enough. But altogether, there are 20 plus forks of Bitcoin, what I like to refer to as fake Bitcoin. And how do you know this? Well, it's very, very simple. Let's look at the value. I want this slide to last through time, and therefore it is not denominated in USD, it is denominated in potential future unit of account, which is Bitcoin, though in the future it will probably be a Satoshi or a bit. So we have a Bitcoin, and fake Bitcoin 1 happens to be 97.5% cheaper. And fake Bitcoin 2 is 99% cheaper. So if someone comes to you and says they have a better gold, is that gold 99% cheaper than the current gold? And then what do you say? What about the security? Well, Bitcoin has the mining power, the amount of energy used to secure Bitcoin, the hash power, is now the size of a small country. I think it's somewhere between the Czech Republic and Austria. Well, what about fake Bitcoin 1? That one uses 98% less hash power. And what about fake Bitcoin 2? 99.5% less hash power. Do you guys realize how easy it is to just destroy that chain if anyone actually cared about using their hash power to destroy that chain? What do I call decentralization? To me, decentralization is the amount of people that are running full validating nodes. This is why Ethereum can't scale. Well, Bitcoin, it's hard to say whether it has enough full validating nodes, but it's certainly, I know I'm running one, and there are 85% less of those. Of course, this could be gamed, but both sides could be gamed, and it's actually laughable how many validating nodes there are on the fake Bitcoin 2, but, and if they were competent, they would already have 2 gigabyte blocks because they said that was coming back in July, and I believe we're already in October. And once it goes to 2 gigabyte blocks, then there'll probably be only one node, maybe, let's hope. So transaction scalability, Lightning will be able to scale us, and with a double faster strategy on fake Bitcoin 1. I got about a minute and a half to go. What about the transaction costs? Well, the transaction costs on Bitcoin are decreasing as we are pretty scalable. And SegWit, Lightning, if only the biggest wallet in the space, blockchain.info, would implement SegWit like they said they were ready for on January 1st, not this year, not last year, but 2017. The biggest wallet still has not implemented SegWit to lower the cost for their users. Miner centralization risk. Well, in Bitcoin, it's very low. Mining is decentralized. Now, there is so little hash power and larger blocks increase miner centralization, and on fake Bitcoin 2, it's a lot worse. The dev quality. Well, I know the developers of Bitcoin, and they are very smart people. I have no idea who's programming on fake Bitcoin 2, and it's pretty low on fake Bitcoin 1. Governance. Soft forks and the users with full value nodes are the governance. Fake Bitcoin 1 already put in checkpoints, clearly showing, Bitcoin in commerce. If you compare Bitcoin with the traditional financial system, it's still pretty low. If you compare Bitcoin within the crypto space, it's incredibly high. It's all the commerce. No one uses the other chains. It's, again, borderline laughable. Offline transactions, Bitcoin has that. So if internet goes down in your country, you can still use it. Secure commercial storage. Well, we have cold cards and other very good storage ways to protect your Bitcoin. And financial market inclusion. That's kind of important. We have futures, we have options, but like unless it's the CBOE doing those options, I left them out. The ETF is probably coming, and I don't hear anybody talking about including fake Bitcoins in the traditional space. That would confuse people even more. That's it. Oh, last slide, sorry. Giacomo Zucco, one of my great friends, and he tried to explain why this is happening. When people said, why am I'm not malicious, I'm not scamming anyone, and Giacomo said, no, that's unfair. I don't accuse all of you of being liars, only the leaders. Many of you are just stupid. And that reminded me of one of my favorite George Carlin lines. Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of them are stupider than that. And believing in fake Bitcoins, I believe, takes you there. So once again, this is the story of fake Bitcoins. Thank you so much for listening, and check me out on YouTube, and those are the events that I put together. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Just for a second, in case somebody has a question.
Please.
Does anyone have a question? I'm looking for an extra microphone. Do you know where they've been? Where they are? They've been liberated. Oh, here they are. There's two up here. So you got one. Good. So, any questions? Okay, I'm going to leave them to you. Say your name and the question, please.
Hi, I'm Mick. It's not really polite to let people defend themselves before you trash them, so I think it's quite poor to rubbish two people when they aren't here to defend themselves, and they weren't actually here this morning, so perhaps you could have done that when they were here. It would have been more respectful.
I thought I did.
Well, clearly not, because they're not here. I don't see them.
That's their fault. I was here for their presentation.
And in fairness, there was some direct discussions yesterday between them. I don't know, were you here yesterday? So you saw there was quite a lot of active discussion there. Well, that's right. This is definitely Tone's viewpoint. And that's the whole point of this conference. So please, is it anybody else care to raise a point about that? Now, who was next? Hands up. Come on, shout out. Who was generally next? That's a very fast one, but he was in front of you. So I'm going to run across. And please say your name and then the question. We've probably only got room for one more after that.
So I'm Stefan. I have an actual question. You split past the sort of Monero privacy-focused currencies. I just want to hear your thoughts more about the role of privacy in the cryptocurrency space. And
Sure. I'll try and make this quick. So Monero has privacy on chain on the base layer. Now, we can debate whether that's good or not. There's lots of people that are concerned about having full privacy on the base layer. It actually obscures some of the things you can do. It makes it very difficult to build on that with that blockchain. And also, there could be inflation bugs that are unseen. This is another one of those risks. So there are risks associated with having privacy on-chain. Is privacy on-chain better than privacy on the second layer? Probably, but are the risks associated with it better? It's debatable. However, that's not the biggest issue. The thing is, Satoshi did Bitcoin the way he did. Bitcoin is decentralized because you can't replicate the first 2 years of Bitcoin. So bringing a better Bitcoin just won't work. It will never be decentralized. It will never be trusted. It will never have the kind of confidence that Bitcoin has. And now we just need the smartest people to build good enough privacy as a second layer, because that's just the only option. You're not going to get everyone in the world to switch to Monero. It's a ridiculous idea. All you'll do is ruin any kind of chance that store of value exists in the crypto space, and by that I mean Bitcoin.
Sorry, quite a few people want to ask a question, but I'm afraid we don't have all the time.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Tone. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. Thank you. Big hand for Tone Vays.